much for tuning into this conversation. I'm Neeraj Shah, and the idea was to try and figure out if indeed there is some bit of demand revival that we are likely to see in the commercial vehicle space, considering how the numbers have turned out to be for various players. And of course, talk to Mr. Vinod Aggarwal in particular to understand how is his thought, or how does he see the 31% growth in the month of March? How does he see the March quarter, and what does it give him an indication about for the remainder of the year? Mr. Aggarwal, great having you. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you very much. The commercial vehicle industry is absolutely going as per our assessment and as per our earlier projections. We were very clear that this industry now is in a very good, you can say, it's in a sweet spot as far as the future of this industry is concerned, going from the current situation. The reason is that this industry has gone through, you can say, very, very strong recession in last 2-3 years. After a peak of 2018-19, the recession had started in 2019-20, which was pre-COVID. So 2019-20, if you have the industry figures, the HD trucks dropped by almost 50%, and LMD trucks 5 to 15 ton, that dropped by 30%. So recession had started right in 1920 itself. Then COVID 2021, it worsened the things. So 2021 was the worst period for the industry, and the industry figures were absolutely rock bottom. And once you reach the rock bottom, and if the economy is doing well, so therefore there was no other way but the industry had to go up. And this is what I had been talking all along, that now is the time for the industry to grow, and that's what we have seen in the last quarter. That's what we have seen in last full year 21-22. The industry is back to pre-COVID levels. In fact, it is even better than the pre-COVID levels. So it's somewhere between 18-19 and 19-20. In fact, if you exclude the bus industry, the bus segment is doing still doing very bad, because buses were the worst impacted due to COVID. And so till last year, the industry was absolutely in bad shape. But now, since the schools have opened and the people are absolutely started doing the normal activities, intercity travel has started, tourism also will start. So you will see a lot of potential in the bus industry as well. But till last year, of course, the bus industry was the absolutely rock bottom. Now, as far as the HD and LMD industry segments are concerned, they are even better than 1920. So as a result of that, overall for full year 21-22, we have the industry which is more than your 1920 figures. Sorry.
Got it, sir. Just wonder, so is it the base effect that comes into play, or do you believe that the economic current is showing those signs wherein things will pick up? I was reading the Tata Motors press release that said that mining, construction, and all of those segments for them and for the industry are showing a strong sign of an uptake. What's your sense, sir?
There are basically two fundamental reasons. One fundamental reason is that there is a lot of pent-up replacement demand. Because these commercial vehicle trucks, they are required to be replaced every 5 to 7 years.
Right.
And since the industry was in recession, so last 2-3 years, the replacements have not happened. So the replacements are overdue. That is number one. Number two is infrastructure investments are happening very, very strongly. Government has very strong program on infrastructure investments, and which leads to more demand for construction trucks. Number three is our economy is on the recovery path, and the outlook for economic growth is very good. And so therefore, if the economy grows, it means the commercial vehicle sector will grow. So these are three fundamental reasons due to which the industry is going to go up. And since it was very low, still there is still a lot of room for growth. If you compare the figures of 2018-19 with the current figures, there is still you can say the gap between peak and the current status of industry is still very large. So therefore, the industry will grow, and next 2-3 years are going to be good for the CV industry, and that's why I said that CV industry right now is in sweet spot.
Got it. You mentioned about the bus segment. Just a quick brief there. I mean, is it showing? I mean, I missed, and I did not quite get it. Are you saying there's an early sign of recovery there, or is it still to show that sign of recovery?
Like in the month of March, we have seen that there is strong recovery happening. The schools have reopened and they have started buying the buses again. There are a lot of bus requirements coming under the PPP route for various routes in the states, which were earlier run by the STUs, state transport undertakings. So those routes are now under PPP route. A lot of demand is coming from that. Then there is electric buses also are becoming more and more popular. So therefore, the bus industry is in, you can say, you will see good recovery in the coming years.
Okay. So I reckon that on the demand front, at least, you don't foresee an issue. Even exports, which for you, I think, were a bit soft, you would reckon in all probability can pick up. So therefore, demand will probably not be an issue.
Our exports, if you look at overall for the year, they were not soft.
So just the last month.
Last month, because month on month is never the indication. So you should always look at the moving averages, or you should look at the yearly growth. So our export growth for the full year has been very good, and we have added new markets. We have got better products. Our products can compete with Japanese products in all the developed markets. So therefore, the potential for our exports, especially in some of the markets of Middle East, Southeast Asia, or developed markets of Africa, the potential for our products are very high. Now we are also developing left-hand drive products that will give good potential for us in the overseas markets. So exports is I would say we are doing well, and we expect to do very well in the coming years.
Okay. Mr. Aggarwal, last couple of questions. So demand seems to be looking okay. What about the cost issue? I was talking to JSW Steel last week, and they said that there will be a substantial reset of the contracts with the auto industry, and there is no choice that they have either. So my question is, how do companies like yours deal with what will potentially be a fairly large revision of input costs?
This is of course, it's a very large issue of inflation, because last year itself the commodity prices have gone up significantly. On top of it, we are having renewed demands from steel mills for more increase, and that may also be due to this war situation between Ukraine and Russia. I'm sure the war is going to get resolved, and it is possible that this situation on the commodity prices, which has current situation, which is again the demand for increase is there, we should see some softening, because it is not sustainable to have the inflation like that. You cannot have inflation like that suddenly the prices have to go up like this. So these are all the, I would say, temporary factors. Fundamentally, the prices should soften up maybe after this situation is eased, and at the same time, whatever increase has happened, we will have pass it on to the customers. So therefore, it is going to be inflationary. At the same time, there is a lot of resistance from the customers, because they are also facing a lot of problem with respect to their position due to the hike in fuel prices, because our customers, their input cost is the fuel, and fuel is their large cost, and fuel prices are going up significantly. They are not able to pass on the hike in fuel prices to their customers in their freight rates. So then they put back pressure on us, and we have to put back pressure on our suppliers. So they have to, it's a
different circle. Yeah, it's a vicious circle.
And so you cannot have one part of the chain getting better prices, and then the other, like if the commodity prices have to sustain, then it is going to become a chain, because then we will increase the prices, because how long we will be able to sustain? And then similarly, the freight rates will go up, because end of the day, if the economy has to grow, if the goods have to move, if you have to move the goods and services, then you need trucks, and you have to pay the right price. If the costs are going up, then it means it will become inflationary end of the day, which is the biggest risk for our country, that inflation is going to be very high, which is not good.
So what do you think happens in Q1 and Q2, sir? Because let's assume that even if it's transitory, there is a hike, even if not in the full proportion, then 75% of the actual hike. What happens? Do you pass on because of the demand, or will you have to take a little bit of hit on your margin?
This is again a question of demand and supply. And then
looking at the demand and supply, sir, what do you think?
Demand and supply, we would like we have already announced some price increases from 1st April. So we'll have to see that how the customer takes that. Does that impact demand? My own current assessment is the demand is still very, very strong. And because the economy is growing. If the economy is growing, if the infrastructure investments are happening, then you need trucks. And if you need trucks, you have to pay the price.
Okay. The last question, Mr. Aggarwal. The last time that we spoke, which was some months ago, you had at that point of time told me that you don't foresee the chip demand issue to get sorted. And you are so correct, because it's not gone out of the window, at least until recently. Now, my question to you is, it was the big talking point of the second half of 2021. Do you foresee it to remain a challenge for the near term, or do you see it getting resolved?
As of now, it continues to be a challenge. And but then we are learning to manage the challenge. So we are managing it. Hopefully there should be long-term solutions, and hopefully in next 6 to 9 months the problem should get resolved.
Right. All right, Mr. Aggarwal, great talking to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us today, and all the best for the quarters. Hopefully they are bumper quarters for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Viewers, thanks for tuning in.